pretenses of peace left by the wayside, the Arcadian forces resumed their advance toward Rabanasta. Dalmasca's doom had been decided. To make resistance would serve no end. With this foremost in my thoughts, I to the people of Dalmasca. Sons and daughters of Dalmasca, I bid you lay down your arms. Raise songs of prayer in their stead. Prayer for His Majesty King Raminas, ever merciful, a man devoted wholly to peace. Prayer, too, for the noble Princess Ash, who, wrought with grief at her kingdom's defeat, has taken her own life. Know also that Captain Basch von Ronsenberg, for incitement of sedition and the assassination of His Royal Majesty King Raminas, has been found guilty of high treason and put to his death. They who at this late hour choose still the sword are cut of the same cloth as the captain, traitors who would lead Dalmasca to her ruin. Dalmasca's surrender without terms was soon to follow.
Vaan! Hurry it up or they'll find us!
I know. Just a little more. You keep an eye out for me up there, Kites. 1, 2, 3 more. All right. Time to clean house.
Okay, here we are picking up the story 3 years after the end of the war. And we're picking up from the perspective of the character Vaan. Now, I'm not sure what his last name is, but I am sure that he is the younger brother that Rex was talking about in the previous episode. Rex, unfortunately, did not survive his encounter, and so he's dead. And now Vaan, here he is, 2 years later, now the same age Rex was when he died. And, well, Arcadia did in fact follow through with its invasion of Dalmasca. I don't know how much resistance actually they encountered after the king's death. But, something we'll see almost immediately after reaching the surface is that they have pretty firm control of the city.
Wow, Vaan, you got him all yourself? Guess I know who to call when something big comes along.
Hey, it's good practice for the desert. I'm ready for anything now. That's enough for today. You should get back to Miguel's place, Kites. Aren't you running errands for him?
Oops, totally forgot. You should come, Vaan. He's busy today. Might have some work for you to do, too.
I've got other, work to do. Hey, lock this place up for me, will you? If Miguel finds out we've been down here, he'll tan our hides.
What'd you say?
Sir, you haven't paid, and I...
What? Haven't paid?
On second thought, please, sir, take it. It's a gift.
Leave the poor sod be. We don't want trouble today. Your luck, peddler.
Oops, sorry.
Watch where you're going, churl. What? My pouch! It's gone!
The boy!
Get out the way! Oh!
What? Hey, that's mine.
What do you mean, yours? You've been stealing again. What happens if they catch you? We need you to be there for us, Vaan. You're no good to anyone if you're locked away in a dungeon.
Oh, what? Am I the leader now? We're orphans. The first thing you learn is you gotta watch out for yourself. Come on, Pinello. You know it as well as I do. Hey, you give that back. What do you think you're doing?
I thought that this money was the people of Dalmasca's property. The Imperials stole it from us, so it's only fair that we take it back. It's our duty as Dalmascans. Well, wasn't that what you said?
Yeah, but I never said anything about taking it back from me.
This is for that bread you took the other day. Just because I help Magello out every now and then, it doesn't mean that you get to eat for free too, you know.
I know that. You think I like living like this? One of these days, I'll fly an airship of my own. I'll be a sky pirate, free to go where I will.
Well, be careful. You'll never fly anything if you're rotting in a dungeon. Oh, Magello had some errands that need doing. He wanted you to drop by his place. It might be a good idea to lend a hand.
Okay, here we are. We have control of the game again, and we are dropped in the middle of the city of Rabanasco. This is the capital city of Dalmasca. And, well, you can really get a perspective. It doesn't quite look too good in this angle. But wandering around the city, and you can get a look at the map, the cities in this game are actually fairly large, and parts of them are seemingly useless. They don't really have any purpose gameplay-wise, but, I mean, they're there anyway. But they really give you the perspective that the world that you existed in this game is actually quite large. The fact that there's no, like, world map that you run around on, like in the earlier games, sort of pushes that back forward. I always thought it was a little bit weird that a lot of these games had, like, gave you a world map, access to the entire world, but the entire world seemed to exist entirely of 10 to 15 towns or cities that have a population of maybe like 200 people in it. It seems weird. At least in this game, you get a perspective that the world is a lot larger than what you're actually able to see.
Vaan, I was waiting.
Pinello said you needed something?
Had me some packages supposed to be arriving by courier. In the morning, perhaps he ran into some trouble on the desert. Now I've no foodstuffs to prepare for the banquet tonight.
So you want me to find this courier? Hey, no problem.
No problem. The desert teem's with trouble. I'd be sending you to early grave, my boy. No, I've arranged for some replacement goods from Tomaj over at the XII.
So you want me to go to the tavern to pick him up?
Actually, I asked Kites to do that. Wouldn't you know he's gone missing on me, too? Nah. I can't leave my shop, and I've Pinello on another chore at the moment, you see. What I want you to do is run over to the XII and fetch Kites back. What do you say?
Sounds wild.
It's easy work, and you'll thank me for it someday.
Okay, this big fella that we just talked to, that is Magello. He Well, you have to learn a little bit about the backstory of our characters here. Both Rex and his brother Vaan here were both orphans. Their parents died during a plague a couple years before the start of the war. So basically they were both orphans by the time the war had started. But they were both taken in by Penello's family here. Unfortunately, Penello's parents were killed during the war, and they were all made orphans again. Well, this big Magello dude went and basically took them in, and has more or less given them a home, although obviously Vaan here wants something a little bit more.
There you are, Kites. Stop loafing around.
Look, Vaan, look! This is it! This is why Magello's courier didn't get here on time.
A creature spotted in the Ester sand. What is that thing?
Ah, Vaan! Magello sent you too, did he? He's a busy man these days, that Magello, if I dare say so myself. I don't envy him the work, though. Not a bit. Quite the affair throwing a banquet to welcome the Imperials, eh?
Welcoming? We should be... whatever. Say, Tomaj, what's this?
Nah, don't remind me. Got some nastiness out there in the Ester sand. What's stopping our couriers? And that means shortages all around. Thought I'd put up a bill, offer a reward to anyone who can knock that nasty back in its place.
Now that's work. Sounds 10 times better than running errands for Magello.
That's right! Vaan, you should give it a shot!
And you should be getting back to Magello. Now, Kites. He was waiting for you.
Oh, right.
Okay, Tomaj here is going to go and explain the idea of hunting things. And I'm not going to bother letting him talk there. I'm just going to explain this later. He's also going to talk over some things like the license board. And we already know how to do this. Or I do. I'll talk about it later. Or you know what? They're going to make me go through this. I'll talk about what we're doing here. The way the game works is the way you increase your character's strength is not primarily, or not at least entirely, through the use of level ups and that kind of thing. Although there are experience points and they do give you levels, say, and they do increase your character's base stats. You're not going to learn any new skills, magic powers, or anything like that unless you use the license board. What you'd have to do is you either find or buy whatever, a magic spell, and then you need to go and obtain a license for it. Meaning you gain license points from battles, and then you spend them however you want on whatever you can on the license board. Say I bought a fire spell. Vaan doesn't have the ability to use a fire spell right now. So once you have that in place, you then go and you purchase the license for the magic spell, like I'm doing with this armlet here. And then as you expend the license points, you gain the ability to use that item, as well as 3 new potential licenses we can go and obtain up here on the board, on the adjacent blocks on the board. The same thing goes with weapons and armor. I buy a new sword, new shield, new spear, gun, whatever. I have to obtain the license. Now the license board for all of the characters is identical. So if, unlike in a lot of the previous games, your characters aren't limited to a certain job system like it's seen in a lot of the previous games. Like there's no specified thief, there's no thief, there's no warrior, there's no, I don't know, monk. All this really means is that all your characters can use any weapon or any armor or any magic spell that you're able to get them a license for. Unfortunately, there are some differences with the characters, and I guess it's probably a good thing. like, not all the characters have the same physical strength, and not all the characters have the same affinity for using magic. Some of them can use the same spell but do more damage than others. So, I mean, certain characters...
Let's see some papers, boy. No public passage on account of the Lord Consul's parade.
Oh, gee, that's too bad. You see, it just so happens that your provisioner for the fete tonight, he sent me to pick up a few choice morsels for the, Consul's dining pleasure. He wants them quick. I got the writ of transit right here. You see? Signed, Magello. I just hate to see the Consul upset because his food wasn't ready on time. And I sure hate to see him take it out on you.
The Lord Consul is a great man, and not one to take offence in such trifling matters. Move along, boy. Wouldn't do to keep the Consul waiting. Right. Gates are closed after this.
So there are obviously some characters that are going to be better at using certain items than others. So there really is a sort of best loadout of equipment for any particular character. But in reality, I mean, it's not a terribly big disadvantage if you, say, misequip a character with a weapon that they're probably not best at using. Now, what we've done is we've gone and taken up a hunt. Now, the hunts are, for the most part, subquests that you do not have to accomplish. This first one we actually have to do in order to progress the game. So we're gonna go and do this, and we're hunting something called a rogue tomato. Now there are a number of hunts, I forget how many, but there are plenty of hunts that we can do in this game. This being the only necessary one. And usually the hunts are more difficult than the regular enemies you find at that point in the game. And in fact, I think the super bosses of the game are actually hunts. In the event that you progress through these subquests, you can go and fight the super bosses. This thing is really no difficult monster. And away it goes. As the battle system in this, I do like the battle system. You know, a lot of people didn't seem to. I compared it previously to being like the game Parasite Eve, and I guess it may be a little bit more accurate to say that it's like the battle system you'd see in an MMORPG. And that was definitely what they intended to do. I think in an interview they even stated that they wanted to create sort of like a single-player MMO rather than some sort of a continuing with the trend of like active time battle system with a weird hybrid system that they used in Final Fantasy X. Overall, I think it's a pretty good system, although I get why a lot of people wouldn't really like it. I also like how you have the little life bars appearing over the characters' heads. Like, I just glance at Vaan, I know that he is getting his ass kicked. So I'm going to use a potion. Oh! Okay, we're good to fight. And you'll see that early on in the game you have... Well, once you eventually gain magical powers and start healing yourself like Drex was able to do, you'll find it's easier to stay out and away from town for long periods of time. Right now, though, Vaan can't heal himself without the use of a potion. So that's, we've limited our ability to stay out away from town.
Galbana lilies? Never thought I'd see him growing out here. Ugh. This'll make a nice souvenir. Time to call it a day.
Okay, we've done it. We've completed our first hunt. and we have to return back to Rabanastre in order to claim our reward. But I'm going to be doing that in the next episode, since we are on the 20-minute mark at this point. So thanks for watching. Tune in to the next one. We will head back to Rabanastre.